Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in on this fine Tuesday, 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, everybody. We're here, though. No days off of the Pipe It Up podcast. We're dressed appropriately, Jack, are we not?
We are.
We are.
We're playing the part.
I may or may not
Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America. How old are we now? 300 years?
Ooh.
Not quite that.
What's the date? 1776? Isn't that the date?
We're old.
Well, I'm not a math major, so
yeah, whatever.
Someone else can figure that out.
I'm past my math days. But yeah, holiday pod, holiday theme. Talking about the Phillies series today. Someone played pretty well in that series. Not going to name names, but he'll be interviewed today, and should be an interesting pod. So this is the Pipe It Up podcast. Cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. Not in the home studio today, Jack. Virtual. I'm on the road. I think you're at home base, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm at home, kind of getting back to this sort of virtual phase that we went through.
Yeah.
It feels weird.
We're in a phase.
It feels weird, but, you know, duty calls. Got to celebrate the 4th of July. As we've talked about before, obviously, you know, people all over the country typically have plans for 4th of July, but if you're a Michigander, you're always going up north. That's what everyone does. They drive up north in the state, go to all the cool lakes up there, cabins, whatnot. It's always a good time. Grilling out, family, fireworks. You know what more is there to ask for? I mean, if you're a dog, it's a terrible time. Yeah, it's a terrible time to be a dog.
My dog is running around my feet, and he's scared of the fireworks. I guarantee you guys are going to hear some booms at some point in my microphone because people are shooting off fireworks up here. Yeah, I'm in northern Michigan. Took the pod on the road. Didn't want to take a week off. I'm tired. It's been a long week. I'm working and vacationing at the same time, trying to multitask, do a lot. Working on all-star jerseys right now. Just a lot happening.
Ooh.
And but it's exciting, you know. I'm also really hot. It's hot in here. I'm gonna fog up these shades real quick. But yeah, gonna be a good, fun pod. Pretty organic. Gonna talk Philly series, Jack. You watched the video already? Just dropped today.
Oh yeah. TC. See you later. 4 times.
4 bombs.
I mean, what do you say?
Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
I don't think we need someone to pull up the stats. I don't know if I've hit 4 home runs in the last like 3 seasons, and you did it in 1 series. What's the most home runs that someone's hit in a series in modern MLW?
You know, unfortunately, Jack, there's gonna. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, because it is fair enough to say there is going to be an asterisk there because it was on the road. It wasn't at the Meadows, right? And while all my
said in the video,
yes, some of it got cut out there, but all of them for sure had the distance at the Meadows, but that was a wide field. It was a full 90 degrees like baseball. So that played in my favor. My final home run in game 3 would have been a foul ball 100% at the Meadows, if that makes sense. It was like just inside the foul
see what you're
pole.
saying.
So that played in my favor a little bit. The ball was flying. It was a hot day. But I mean, yeah, dude, it's pretty crazy. I, of course, you know, wanted to hit a homer or 2 in front of the crowd to give them something to be excited about. And like, in Oklahoma, for example, last year we played there against the Gators, and I was like, I'd love to hit one over the monster, you know? Like, that was kind of the goal, which is selfish to say, like, I should want to win the games. And truly, in Philly, I wanted to win the games. I just wanted our team to get wins, and I wanted Robles to hit one out or me, but hitting one over that scoreboard was not a goal of mine. It really wasn't. I didn't really even consider it as a possibility, and you guys probably couldn't tell by my reaction. I played it pretty cool on the field. But as I was kind of trotting around the bases, I was kind of just like blank. Like, did I just do that?
You hit the blackout phase.
A little bit. I was like trotting around. I was like, wow, I hit it over the scoreboard. That's pretty cool. And just like thinking about like the fans that were there, and I knew my mom was there. It was funny how her shot ended up making it in the video. The only pitch she recorded, by the way, for the entire night. Lucky enough. How funny is that?
That's awesome.
But yeah, just kind of in shock. Like, wow, like okay, over the scoreboard. That was kind of cool as I ran around the bases. So cool moment.
But to do it once, you know, would be a feat in itself. And you ended up with 4 on the day. I mean, what do you chalk that up to? Like, were you just ultra prepared for this Predators team, or were you kind of, you know, did you have a little bit extra Wheaties that morning? I mean, what was the difference for you?
It's hard for me to put an exact pin in it, Jack, to be honest. I kind of said in the outro, like, I feel blessed that it happened today out of all days, because against the Wildcats, I had nothing going at the Meadows. But I I think it's a combination of a lot of things. You know, I've been playing this game a long time. Of course, that doesn't hurt. I did notice a little bit of a difference watching the video today of my swing actually looked pretty good. I've been very self-critical of my swing, which I mentioned on this pod before in a previous episode that it's not the most important thing in the world for your swing to look pretty in wiffle ball, right? You got to just get the bat on the ball to hit it over sometimes. But seeing some of those replays, my cuts didn't look too bad, Jack. I'll be honest. I looked very loose, if that makes sense. And funny enough, Davenport and I were practicing 2 days prior to the trip, and he's like, you don't need to swing so hard, like loosen up a little bit and just take nice, easy cuts. And somehow, some way that must have translated, because it did, my swing looked really smooth. A couple of those side replays that I saw, I was pretty impressed with myself. I will say too, so much of it's mental, right, Jack? We talk about that all the time, how it's confidence and it's mental. So I mentioned that practice I had with Davenport, just him and I playing one-on-one a couple days prior to leaving. And, you know, I was kind of struggling again, and I had been struggling playing one-on-one with him over the course of the last month, and it's been frustrating, but I've been trying to grind through it and just figure out what's been going on, because I just feel like I haven't been feeling confident. I'm swinging at balls, I'm looking at strikes, all over the place type thing. And we were probably out there for a total of 2 hours, and near the end of our little practice session, I made a very, very small adjustment with my hands, kind of just keeping them inside the ball a little bit more and almost like changing the trajectory of my hands through the zone. And I made that adjustment and then hit one pretty square off of him. And I was like, just lob me a couple before we walk out of here. I just want to try this new little swing out before we go. And I was cranking the ball like that. So I don't know how big of a change that actually was in terms of my mechanics and how that affects everything. But the mental confidence of like, oh, I think I figured something out, I think played a huge role in my success there. Just the confidence I brought in from those final 5 minutes of practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely looked confident out there. It was almost even the at-bats that you had where you struck out or didn't get a hit, you were approaching the at-bat as if you were going to be able to hit anything, is what it looked like in the video. I mean, especially after you hit 2 out in the first game, it was like any of these have a chance of going out. So, I mean, you were just absolutely tattooing the ball.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you guys exactly why I did so well. Once again, I do practice a lot, more than I think a lot of guys do in the league, and a lot of the guys in the league probably have more time than I do free time wise, and I make time to do that because I do want to win these games and I do want to play well, especially that I've given so much of my life to this game and to this league. Like, I want to do it a solid and be the best I can out there. So yeah, I'm just thankful that it translated that day, I suppose, when, my mom, who didn't have to go out there, drove 8 hours to see the series because she wanted to support and, on her own dime and stuff like that. So it was cool nonetheless. And it was cool seeing the fans react, and, it could have been anybody for all I care, as long as I always want the fans to see a good show. So the fact that I could do it, good for me, I guess. Like, it's kind of shocking still watching it back. It's surreal. And I was talking to people after the series, like, dude, you were on fire today. Would have put on a show, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I know, like, I'm just as surprised as you are. And like, you get so wrapped up in the event, and I'm excited and nervous to, go to Philly and to work with their staff and to put on a good show. And people that were there can attest to this. Up until the moment before the first pitch, Kyle and I were running around, getting cameras in place and getting the shots we needed to. And there was someone there who ordered Alec Ward a merchandise, and it got lost with USPS. So then I brought them an extra shirt, and I was like, flag me down before the series and I'll throw you an extra shirt to put on because your shirt didn't arrive in time. So I was worried about so much other stuff, which made it even more shocking. You know what I mean? Just putting it all together. But I think we played loose. It was, the car ride there was fun, and Matt and Davenport and I spent the whole night prior together in the hotel room, just like giggling like we're, teenage kids. So it was just a fun trip, and I think that translated to my game. I don't know. I can't really say much else about it. Every dog has his day. I kept telling people that. Or, if a blind squirrel will find a nut every once in a while. That's kind of how I felt. But
yeah, I mean, totally. But like you said, you've been working, and it's always nice to kind of see the results sort of show themselves, right, based on the work that you've been putting in. So it's always nice to see that. But I mean, we can kind of go through game by game, but before that, I wanted to just sort of back up and just ask you some questions about like the overall series in general and the venue and just the experience. Like, what was that like playing in a real MLB stadium? That we've had some really cool series, but that was the first time that we played in a real MLB stadium. Like, what was the atmosphere like?
Once again, surreal. Just to see, like, the first moment I was kind of like, wow, this is really happening, was when we were getting set up and I could look beyond the gate, and I just saw the line of people waiting with their tickets to get in when the gates opened. Like, seeing that was a first. You know, even in Toledo, we didn't have that kind of thing. It was like people stayed after the game to watch that. So seeing people actually out there in line, like it's a concert or a sporting event just for us, was pretty cool. And seeing people, you know, with, like, in the gate yelling into us was cool. Seeing the Phillies staff getting excited, and just seeing all like the Phillies / Major League Baseball like insignias all over the place was like a little bit validating, you know. And just so many years and hours have been put into this from Kyle, myself, and everybody in the league, from the players who have played in one game to players that have been playing for 10 years. Just so many moments that have culminated into doing an event like that. And it's still just a stepping stone as to where we're trying to get to. But just cool. I don't know how else to say it. It's just cool.
So it was in Citizens Bank. And we, like I mentioned, you know, we've obviously done some videos at some pretty special venues, but this was like a specifically designed field for wiffle ball, which we've played at a couple of those. But how does this field stack up against some of the other ones? You know, like last year with the Little Wrigley and Little Fenway, like those types of stadiums. How did this one kind of stack up in those against those in your mind?
So the mini MLB series venues, the ones in Vermont, that's Little Fenway, Little Wrigley, Little Field of Dreams, those are all pretty sweet because it's, you know, they're taken care of by a charity organization, and it's grass, so like it really takes a lot of maintenance, and they hand moved all that corn on the Little Field of Dreams for us to play with. So like the attention to detail in those is pretty cool, and they don't quite have, you know, the financial freedom probably of the Phillies organization, if that makes sense. So it's just cool to see that amount of detail given to something so niche by a small organization compared to the Phillies. That being said, though, I mean, the Phillies thing was top notch. The scoreboard specifically, I want to talk about just how cool it is, you know, having a live display. It had our logos up there. Shout out to Cole, our graphic designer. He was like commenting about how cool it was to see his designs up on a scoreboard, you know, with all the Phillies logos and whatnot next to it. The padded wall is awesome. Oklahoma and the Vermont fields don't have a padded wall. It's all just wood. So having a real like Major League Baseball type fence that's padded that you can jump into and not hurt yourself is pretty special. Full turf.
Yep.
Just the atmosphere of the fans surrounding the whole thing. The backdrop was nice. The backstop, the brick backstop was cool. So it was up there for me for sure. That's the cool thing about baseball, I think, is unlike a lot of other sports like football, for example, where every field is so standard. Baseball, even at the highest level, the pro level, each field has its own little quirks and things that are different about it. So this one, I think what I liked most about it was probably just the scoreboard and how they had the Phillies logo on top of it, just like the real field does, and having our logos up there. That was pretty cool for me. We don't usually have a live scoreboard like that, so.
Yeah. That is really cool about baseball, how every stadium is kind of unique. They even have some domes, you know, and the dimensions are a little bit different. So I agree, that is pretty cool. One thing I just had to ask, there were a lot of people sliding in this series, but it was turf, and so I was wondering if like you guys were just getting like bad turf burn, or was it not like that? Was it just smooth turf?
It's funny you asked that, because when I slid into home the first time, one of the Phillies employees was like, "Oh, you're gonna feel that tomorrow, man." And I was like, "What do you mean? I know how to slide." A lot of guys don't know how to slide, Jack, and they slide right on their shin. That's like not really what you're supposed to do. I was more in my butt, so I was fine. But the reason a lot of guys were sliding was more because of a safety thing. So I never usually slide at the Meadows. I never try to, because it's just asking to get hurt, in my opinion. But with the home plays at home plate, I slid twice into home. The backstop is right there. Like I said, it's brick. So if I were to come full speed sprint into home, I would have had to like break down in 3 or 4 steps and worry about hitting a shin into this brick wall, or like going over into the crowd of people. So I just felt safer just to get down and slide. And because of my baseball background, I'm pretty comfortable sliding on turf like that, where I know the surface is going to be okay and there's not going to be a rock going into my leg or whatever. So that's why I was sliding. To be honest, I probably would have slid into first base too if there was a close play. I would have went head first, because of, you saw Robles, who was just jumping into the wall there to slow himself down. There's just not a lot of room to work with. You know, that field wasn't really designed for our size of play and like real pro players. It was more so designed just for kids' activities. So we had to adapt a little bit. It was just, we couldn't really go any smaller than that. That was just big enough for us to be able to do it safely and to not just have like a little dinky pop-up be a home run. Like, you still had to hit it a little bit, you know?
No, totally. It was really cool. It was funny how many people were sliding. So I figured there was some sort of reason.
Most of it was safety.
And
it's fun to slide on turf too.
It is. It is. I've just had some mean turf burn in my days, and it's funny that you said an employee said something to you, because when I watched you slide in the first time, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, he's probably bleeding everywhere. I was crisp. But you obviously know how to slide.
Apparently,
you're a pro.
I just, yeah, no issues. Not even a scrape.
So I've been to Philadelphia a few times before, and I'm not really like a city guy.
Yeah, me neither.
I wouldn't describe myself as a city guy.
I'm not a city boy.
But you've obviously, you know, in life in general, but also through MLW, been able to travel to a lot of different cities. I hope you guys, you know, I did see some content with you and Alec, I believe, running up the steps like Rocky did in the famous movie. But so I hope you got to like experience a little bit of Philadelphia outside of Citizens Bank. Like, what did you think of the city? How did it compare to some of the other ones you've visited?
Yeah, we didn't get to spend a ton of time. You know, it'd be great if we had all the time in the world, but at this scale of the business, you know, it's me and Kyle are doing way more than we should be, so we don't have time to just go putz around a city for a day and waste it. So we pretty much drove all day Friday, got to Philly late Friday evening, had the whole entire event thing between our 3 games and the Phillies game that Saturday, and then Sunday we drove home. But Sunday morning we did spend time going to the Liberty Bell and the Centennial Bell, which is the one that's actually up there now. And the Rocky Steps we did. Mr. Schultz really wanted to see that. He's the driving force there. And Mr. Schultz, I'm like, wherever you want to go, you can stop because you drove us. So we did the Rocky Steps. But compared to other cities, Jack, I really haven't. Once again, I've traveled to a lot of places and been to a lot of airports, but I really haven't been able to like experience all these cities. I will say that.
Did you get a cheesesteak at least?
Of course. I couldn't go. I was hyping up the cheesesteaks for months. As soon as our series was over, it was straight to cheesesteaks for sure.
Okay, good.
I had Pat's King of Steaks cheesesteak, covered that baby in whiz. It was pretty good. It tasted a little bit better. Knowing I hit 4 bombs, it made it a little bit sweeter. But yeah, I wasn't going to Philly and not getting a cheesesteak. And I had a cheesesteak too when I was there for the World Series in the fall. So yeah, that's a must. And it was funny just me and Alec running up the Rocky Steps and then get back in the car and driving back home. But
that's always fun to do.
Yeah, compared to other cities, I will say that Philly seemed a lot of cars. So a lot of like big cities like Chicago and New York, like it's mostly like people are walking in taxis and stuff like that. Philly, you can ask Russell, there was just cars lined on every single road. In the middle of the streets, there's cars everywhere. And besides that, I can't comment too much. I don't want to say anything that's incorrect because, like I said, I didn't really get to fully experience the city. I saw a lot of cheesesteak spots, and the history of it, like seeing the Liberty Bell area, that was pretty cool. Rocky Steps were cool. There were some nice statues and stuff like that, whereas like our city of Detroit doesn't have many like really historic monuments like that. You know, East Coast is where all like, the original American history was. So that was cool, but I can't really go into depth into what I thought. And like you said, you're not a city guy. I'm not a city guy either. I consider myself a pretty suburban kid, and I plan to stay that way. So yeah, it was cool to see a new place nonetheless.
Very cool.
Sorry for kind of a weak answer there, but just my truth.
No, that's all good. I guess let's just jump into the series, kind of breaking it down. So game 1, you obviously have the two bombs, 2 absolute dingers. Mm-hmm. Those were nice, and Robles took care of business. I mean, that's Mallard's wiffle ball right there. Hit a couple bombs, have Robles take care of business. But game 2 was what might have been one of the most exciting games to watch on YouTube, like that we've had this year. Mm-hmm. I think. I mean, it was like an absolute hit parade.
It really was.
So I wanted to ask a few questions because we've talked about before how much work you've done with Brendan and how much he's done on his own. I know this was kind of like a good opportunity for him. It's kind of like one man's when one man is absent in Caden Irwin, another man gets an opportunity, right? Uh-huh. But obviously couldn't get the job done in game 2. So I just wanted to know what your like honest thoughts were in terms of his performance, because I feel like he had some good stuff out there. Like it was moving. I feel like he was locating like pretty well. I think the Preds just like kind of came alive. It was almost like all their hits that they didn't get against the Magic, they just decided to like use that superpower card in game 2. But I wanted to get your feedback on that.
Yeah, overall, I wasn't disappointed in Davenport's outing. I know the scoreboard looked pretty ugly. We did not help him out at all in the field. Our defense on the Mallards has been very sloppy this year, unfortunately. We threw away a couple balls, a couple grounders that could have been made, in the third inning specifically, I was really beating myself up because Davenport was giving it his all out there. And, Matt and I were talking like, should we just put you in, Matt, in this third inning and give you some reps, or should we let Davenport finish? And Matt and Jordan really wanted Matt to go in. And I was like, 2 innings just isn't enough for Davenport. Like, I really would need to give this kid a real shot. Like, let me put him out there and see what he can do in this third inning. Let's see what this kid's really made out of. And he gets those 2 strikeouts to start the inning. So we have 2 outs, nobody on. Then he walks a guy, I think, and there's a ground ball right back to him. And me being dumb and not locked in, I'm playing first base, and I start to run towards second, and I'm not covering the bag. That would have got him out of the third inning scoreless, and that would have been so huge for his confidence, and it would have kept the game at 9-6 going into the third for our at-bats. I don't cover the bag. He ends up then getting wild and walking guys. Like, he walked in 2 runs or up a hit. So I was bummed out. We really didn't help the kid out at all. And I can't be too mad at his performance. It's a foreign environment, crowd watching. He hasn't pitched this entire season. Was he a little bit wild? Yeah. His pitches were definitely moving. He got some strikeouts when he needed to. And overall, yes, there's still a long way to go for him, but I wasn't super upset. There's only so much you can do. Reps are going to help. And for him to go out there and to grind it out and to get out of that last inning, despite it being sort of ugly, I was proud of his efforts, and I wish we could have made some more plays for him. I texted him right afterwards. I was like, dude, we did not help you out at all. So that can help you so much as a pitcher. When your team's making plays behind you, it gives you so much more confidence. So I felt genuinely bad, and we got to be better defensively for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're locking it down defensively, it makes a world of a difference
for sure.
To a pitcher.
Every out's so big in a 3-inning game.
I thought it was an interesting play for the Predators to insert Cratch there for the save or the close, whatever the terminology is there.
I guess it was a hold. I think the proper term is a hold. I think it depends on how many runs you're up. I think that
all the baseball heads out there are just cringing right now.
Let us know in the comments. Was it a save? Was it a hold? I'm pretty sure it was a hold.
Let us know. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting move because it really showed how much the Predators' backs were against the wall. Like that was like they all were in agreement that they needed that win and we're not going to sacrifice that win for anything, including potentially losing Game 3 because they knew McGlade was going to have to go in and pitch another inning per the rules. Were you expecting that at all, or was that kind of like a shock when they put him in there?
To be honest, it was kind of a shock, but in a great way. In hindsight, what a move! Like, that was kind of genius in my opinion, because truthfully speaking, and I know hindsight's 20/20, and if McGlade does shut the door there, it's like, oh yeah, like whatever. But I do think we were going to win that game if he stays in. I was seeing him well. So was Jordan. Matt was seeing the ball well. I think we would have came back and rallied and won that game in the bottom of the third. So that was a bold move by Ryan, putting himself in, and like you said, they needed that win, and he knew that. So for him to go in there and strike out 2 in a row to finish the game off was kind of cool, honestly. We don't see it too often in MLW. And when they did it, I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. They're going to burn an inning for Ryan. And for him to close the door and get the win, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm surprised we don't see it more often in MLW. I think a lot of times we see it too late in the game. Like the Cobras kind of scared me there when Bean was giving up runs, and then finally Barron came in. But I think they made the move at the exact right time. And Ryan shut the door, so props to him. And that was a much-needed win for the Preds, so got to tip my cap.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought that was it was a confident play. You know what I mean? To like put himself in there in that situation and know that he needed 2 strikeouts and go out there and get it for the win. I mean, I thought it was a great move, and they did need that win. I mean, if the Predators get swept in that series, their chance at the playoffs are pretty much done. I would imagine they're almost erased. So. Yeah. They needed to get at least 1 dub in the series. And I kind of agree with you. Like, you guys were coming around. You guys were all seeing McGlade really, really well. So it was like almost only a matter of time. So I also agree with the move. And I gotta give props to McGlade, though. McGlade had a big strikeout against me. Him and I battled. The at-bat where Kyle showed like the captions of the crowd chanting my name, which was also another surreal moment. But so all the odds were against McGlade there, kind of, and it's him out there and people chanting my name. I'm sure that doesn't feel too great as a pitcher. And we battled. It was a long AB. I fouled off a couple with a full count, and he ended up striking me out. So once again, I'll tip my cap to him. That was a pretty big strikeout. Yeah. How big was it Or how cool is it to see Matt Carlington too get his first home run? Had a nice play in the field as well. I mean, love to see the Mallards' depth, being built, right?
Hey, what'd I tell you guys? We were in that hotel room, right, in Illinois, and I was like, Matt is not a waste of a pick at number 8. I told you guys he can be a good bat. And honestly speaking, he may be our third best hitter right now. He's seeing the ball really well. He has good at-bats. His swing is beautiful, in my opinion, much better than mine. And he had 2 hard-hit balls that game. And he struck out a couple times in the third game, which was a bummer, but Matt's actually pretty solid. If he were an everyday player, I think he could be pretty good. So we might see him start to play more and more here throughout the rest of the season when it comes to crunch time. So yeah, I was happy for him. We had a good time together in the bus. And of course, I was happy to be the guy that was putting up the cool day for the fans and the one that was producing, but I was just as happy, if not happier, to see Matt drill one and bat flip and get to trot the bases and experience that too, because that's just cool. Matt came to so many of our events last year and even helped out, not being a part of the league, not even people knowing his name, but still doing his part behind the scenes as a friend of all the Livonia guys like Norp and Saylor. So for him to go out there and suit up for us, and Jimmy's like, you're not going to play Matt. Why would you draft Matt? Blah, blah, blah. And for him to go out there and hit a home run in front of the crowd, good for you, Matt. That was awesome.
The bat flip was totally class, Matt.
There's an absolutely gnarly picture of him flipping that bat too. I'm going to pop it up right now. Can I talk about the photographer real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, this kid absolutely killed it. Peter, I think I'll pop up his @ too right now. It's like PMH photography or something like that. We got some emails for the Phillies series for people that wanted to take some pictures. And if you're listening to this and you're in St. Louis and you're a photographer, hit me up. But got some emails like, hey, I would love to come out and shoot for you guys for the Philadelphia series. Like 2 or 3 came through and I saw them, looked through, and I was like, it seems like this guy's a little bit too inexperienced. Like I need to see some more. So I just ignored them. Well, then his email came through and he had a lot of pictures of like the Temple University football team and baseball team. And they're looking pretty money. So I call this guy, Peter, he's a college student. And I was like, if you're interested, like I would love to have you out there to help us out with photo and video, mostly photo focused, but a little bit of video too. And so we hopped on the phone. I kind of told him what I wanted. And I was like, I still want you to have the creative freedom to do what you want. But dude, he wouldn't take any money, totally volunteered. And he made that video so much better. I'm sure you guys saw some of the professional shots of both photo and video that were sprinkled in throughout. Elevated the video so much, and he got that footage and video out, or footage and photos to us like immediately after the series was over, and just awesome. Awesome to see a MLW fan come out and do his part, and once again just support our brand. So shout out to him. If you guys are in Philadelphia for whatever reason, I know there's some wiffle ball players out there that might be hearing this, and you need a guy for photo, video, hit him up because he did a great job, and it just means a lot to me when people volunteer like that and put their best effort into it, and are really proud of it too.
That's awesome, man. Shout out to Peter, you said it was?
Yeah, Peter.
Shout out Peter. That's awesome. There is nothing like a great sports picture. Like there is
that picture of Preston robbing the home run.
Yeah. Like
that was sick.
The action, the emotion, like the amount of emotion that's displayed in sports that you don't even like realize it when you're doing it, all the players, and being able to capture that is just so cool. And I know what you're talking about with some of the photos that were inserted, and those totally agree with you. Elevated the video major. So, very good shout out. Thank you, Peter. Again, that's awesome.
Just the little things like that, they go a long way. And, I'm happy I saw his email and decided to pursue it.
Absolutely. So moving on to game 3, another bomb.
Barely kept it fair.
What do you say?
Barely kept
it fair.
That one I was surprised it got over. I was looking at it. I was like, get out. Daniel made a comment. He was laughing. He's like, Tom, you're talking to that ball like it wasn't going to go over. It was a bomb. And I was like, I knew it had the distance, Dan. I thought it was going to be foul. It was just inside the foul pole. So I had kind of a little like corny bat flip there, but I was just hyped to like put us on the board there and hit another one. And it was funny because after I hit that one, then I think I was standing on the sidelines there where we were all kind of hanging out like just beyond first base. I was talking to Matt, and I was like, God, I have 3 home runs today. This is crazy. Like, dude, you got 4. I was like, 4? I was like, I do have 4. You're right.
Forgot about the second one in game 1.
I did. Yeah, the little flare.
Yeah. It's rare to hit 2 in one game, and let alone 4 in a series.
Gosh,
4 in a series is very rare. Yeah. But you guys, I think, what was the final score of game 3? Was it 3-0?
The final score of game 3 was 4-2 because I had a 3-run shot after we were already up 1-0, and then Russell put one over in right center.
Oh, that's right. Russell just continuing his streak of showing out in special event series.
I was mic'd up for that too.
Great job, Brennan. Incredible. And he also got robbed that was in game 1, right? Preston with an incredible highway robbery of a home run.
Yeah.
That Russell had.
Yeah, Preston has a lot of potential. Good athlete. I like him out there in the field. But yeah, I was telling guys afterwards, because everyone was worried about the home runs and us like juicing stats because of the small field. The only home run I think that wouldn't have got out at the Meadows would have been Russell's that Preston robbed. I'm pretty sure every home run that actually ended up being a home run all would have been gone at the Meadows, except for the one that I said in game 3 would have been foul that I hit. I think everything else would have been also gone at the Meadows. It wasn't like that much smaller. Yes, it was shorter, and every foot counts in wiffle ball, but those balls were all stroked pretty good that went over the fence. Matt hit his hard, Jordan did. Russell's was gone by a fair margin. So,
hey, is what it is. You gotta play in your environment, adapt to it, and overcome. So
absolutely,
it is what it is. But you guys obviously end up wrapping up the series there 2-1. You guys move to 4-5.
Mm-hmm.
Second in a pretty chaotic NL, I will say.
Kind of a bloodbath.
Kind of a bloodbath so far. What do you kind of take away from this series, as the Mallards manager, going forward into the kind of second half of the season here?
I think I take away a lot of what I already knew was true, which is the mental aspect of the game. Our mental in the Wildcat series after the first game loss was just so bad, and it's unacceptable, and it cannot happen, especially as games get more and more important throughout the season. And I felt like we were all in good spirits coming into the series, and because we started to play good, everyone was pretty loose. Jordan hitting that home run off the scoreboard to start the day off was a great note for him, and it carried into his performance on the mound, I think, and his mom was there too. They made the trip. So I think just keeping the positive energy, having fun playing the game, that's what I kind of learned out there and confirmed what I already knew was true. I was happy that my players all experienced that too and saw that, and I felt like it really felt like a classic MLW series of like the glory days of, I tried to get everybody sort of equal playing time. I wanted everybody out there to experience that who made the trip because, I'm pretty sure Davenport missed out on a little trip there, and Matt Carlington's travel team that he coaches was in Kentucky for a tournament. He decided to skip that and come to the Phillies series. Preston skipped a baseball tournament. So like everyone made sacrifices to be there, and I wanted everybody to have a chance to go out there and play and to experience that environment and how cool that was. Because like I said, everybody in this league has played a part in getting it to where it is. So just having fun playing the game, man, I think that's so important, and it'll translate to playing well, because that's how it is. When you're out there and you're 13, 14 on a summer day, no school, and you're playing wiffle ball all day, that's what you're doing. You're just having fun. Who cares who wins and loses? And we're competitive. We want to win, and we do practice and put in the efforts to win games, but it's just not going to happen when you're taking things too serious and when you're so in your head about, if I'm going to screw up this and that. So just playing loose. I'm going to keep trying to encourage my guys to do that and keep in my head of, don't overswing, just play loose, have fun. Always imagine that there's little kids behind you watching and cheering you on, because that's what it's all about.
So you obviously, like you mentioned, wanted to get guys the opportunity to get in there who made sacrifices, and still kind of early in the season. So just in general, trying to get guys reps.
Yeah.
I'm doing, I think most managers are kind of doing a similar thing. Mm-hmm. I would imagine, the majority of us into this sort of, into the second half of the season here would probably start to solidify like more of a consistent 4-man lineup. Was this series, are you going to make any decisions based on this series, or do you kind of know who you think you're going to take to be your guys' 4 into hopefully the playoffs?
I think, so I have 6 guys right now, including Caden, who wasn't at the Phillies series. I kind of have a pretty good sense of what everyone brings to the table. I think everyone on my squad has different talents in different areas. So, yeah, I learned a little bit out in Philly, seeing Davenport play and seeing Colm get a lot of at-bats and seeing Carlington out there playing. So I definitely learned a lot, something I'll consider moving forward. But I would still love for people to still get playing time if I can. There's always situations where it can't happen. But everyone's playing their role, and we still have a long way to go. We're under 500 at the break, which is disappointing. It was great to win in Philly, but 4-5 is not where I thought we'd be. We've already passed our loss total from last year. Last year we were 11-4, so a lot of work to do still. But I'm just glad we all bounced back out there, and I'll keep doing my job as a manager. Sometimes it's tough, but we're here to win. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, again, Tommy, congratulations on first of all the Mallards, series win.
That's what's most important.
Second off, your incredible day. I don't pick sides on this podcast, but I do have a little bit of bias towards my boy TC3, and it was good to see you, have such a great day there.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate that.
I did want to move into the comment of the week here. I thought this one was pretty funny. I was scrolling through the comments.
Oh boy.
And this one made me chuckle, but because we were talking about what a great video and production it was, especially with the additions from Peter. And so this is the comment. I bag on you guys a lot, but it's clear that you love this stuff and put a lot of time and effort into the league and the YouTube videos. The commentary and play-by-play are all solid, and the camera work is decent enough. And it's entertaining and obviously growing. And it's entertaining and obviously growing, so ... Congrats. Hope someone is close to making a living at doing this.
Oh, well, thanks, whoever said that.
That is the goal.
It's
that
kind
is
of
the goal
insulting,
here.
but I mean, it sounds like a compliment, so I'll take it, right?
It's like the most backhanded compliment you could have.
Backhanded congrats.
But we'll take it. I think my favorite part is the camera work is decent enough. That made me chuckle.
Great. It was hard,
camera
though.
work was awesome.
We didn't have a lot of freedom. Like, there was not a lot of room back there for us to get the shot. Unfortunately, with how the field was set up, we can't control that. So, like, for example, that shot of my mom's phone made it into the video, which was hilarious. Yes. But it was lucky she was rolling. Like, that was the only footage that captured kind of the entire flight of that home run and caught it to the end. So it was funny enough that she was recording there. So yeah, we did our best. Peter did a great job. Even shout out to Dirty Dan. I thought Dirty Dan had some great shots from up top on that balcony that the Phillies were nice enough to give us access to. So I appreciate the compliment about the production. A lot of parents and kids, I think, saw it and were surprised. So people are coming up to Kyle and I and like, wow, I see how hard you guys are working, because it is hard. Still have a long way to go. We're still relatively small in this game and putting the building blocks down. So yeah, it does come down to way more work than you would think for just a couple people. And even the MLW guys getting involved. We're asking for help from players all the time. And so I actually appreciate it. The kids love the sport, right? They love the game. They love meeting us. But one of my favorite parts of the in-person events is just socializing with some of the parents afterwards that brought their kids out and just getting their stamp of approval. I think that's always pretty cool for me. There was a guy there. I'll give him a shout out. I forget his name, unfortunately, right now. But he was from Bucknell University, and he's a professor in engineering. And he talked to me after the game and was interested about my engineering background and how I left my job. And he's like, I'd love for you to speak at one of my, be a guest speaker at one of my lectures in the fall. Stuff like that means a lot to me,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's always good to.
I don't remember the question, but sorry, that was my rant.
No, it was from the comment. I was going to say it's always good to get feedback, even if you're kind of backing into it positively.
Oh, I'll take it. I'll take even criticism. We always want to get better too.
Yeah, exactly. You got to take the pros with the cons.
Yeah.
So
there's still a lot to improve on. Even watching the video today, I see things and I'm like, oh, I made notes right away of things that could have been better that we're going to improve on in St. Louis. And so yeah, things like that. It never goes perfect, and that's okay. You gotta just keep doing better.
So speaking of which, the Magic finally. Yeah, we were due, folks, for a special series. We were due.
You earned it this year.
We've been knocking at the door, and we earned it. We got it. So we will be taking on the Cobras in St. Louis on, I believe it is July 28th. Did I nail that, Tommy?
We'll be traveling on the 28th, playing on the 29th.
Playing on the 29th. I almost had it.
Almost.
So mark your calendars. You guys will see, all the plugs and all the content for that tickets, on Instagram in terms of the tickets.
Tickets on sale this Thursday, July 6th, 7 p.m.
All right, fellas, you heard it. You better get them fast.
Get them fast.
This Philly one sold out. It's sold out, and it sold out pretty quick, didn't it?
This Phillies one, yeah. So essentially, we ended up overselling the event too, out of our control. But something went wrong on the Phillies end, and they accommodated an extra people. I still think, candidly speaking, we could have got even more in there too. So I'd love to increase that event in the future if we go back. But yeah, the Grizzlies are ready. We gave them, I gave them the rundown of the Philly thing and how that thing sold out in 2 minutes, and so we're ready to accommodate several hundred people. So run up the link, guys. The more we sell, they're going to try to even accommodate more and more. So we could blow this thing up huge. And I'm going to really take the preparation seriously. And like I said, I learned a lot from Philly, and I'm trying to prepare for that right now. So yeah, this is going to be special, guys. And RJ, the young kid, the rookie on the big stage, Grant, the rookie on the big stage, Jack, you're overdue for this, Bonham, everyone's excited, the Cobras. So this is going to be a fun one. And all 3 games on the field, one under the lights. So it should be a lot of fun.
It's always fun playing the Cobras, man. Always a battle. I'm looking forward to doing it in a very special venue. I've had this date marked on my calendar for a while, so I'm really looking forward to it personally.
Yeah, the cool thing here is, it's awesome to do it with the MLB teams too. The Phillies were great. They really cooperated with us and helped us out a lot, especially as the event grew nearer and near. But these small market teams, this team, the Grizzlies are in the Frontier League, an independent baseball league. So us coming down is like really a stamp on their calendar. So they are really excited for us and really like taking my feedback and input, and we're collaborating on making this just as cool as possible, from the actual gameplay for us and the crowd viewing experience to getting the scoreboard involved and a microphone involved and integrating some wiffle ball aspects into the Grizzlies game, promotions on the field. So everything's going to be done, hopefully, the best I can. Kyle and I are going to do what we can to make it really special for all those that come out. So I know we got a pretty strong fan base in St. Louis. There's a lot of wiffle ball leagues out there. Shout out to a couple of them, the Skivvy Wiffle Ball League, MoWiff, the NWA. There's more. Yeah, I'm excited.
Right on. Well, I think this has been a good pod, Tom.
Fireworks.
This has been a very
Told
good
you guys
pod.
we'd get them eventually.
Ooh. Bam.
Couple booms. Not as many as I thought.
What's your favorite firework, Tom?
The one, I like a couple different ones, Jack. I like the one, first of all, it's like an umbrella, so it goes off and it like comes down real slow, but it like stays lit as it falls.
It's like a weeping willow.
Yes, okay.
Almost,
I don't know what the term is.
Yes,
those are great.
That's my favorite.
I also like the ones that are like, it sounds like you're eating a Rice Krispie, where it's like it crackles after it goes off a little bit. Those are cool too. What else? Also, just a big firework. It doesn't need to be that loud, but just like a big, grand one in the sky. I'm not a big fan of like the small little flash, loud ones, but a nice, big, grand firework is always beautiful too.
Just a big boom that you feel in your chest.
Yeah.
One thing I will say to all you listeners out there is if you are dabbling with your own fireworks, please take the proper precaution. They are very dangerous. Actually, certain ones are illegal in some states, so please be careful. You would be surprised how many people have been injured by fireworks, including professional athletes have blown their own fingers off from fireworks. So please take precaution if you're using them. A good sparkler, that's pretty safe. At worst, you're gonna burn your finger a little bit. Do the Disney Channel thing, so you can do the best Disney Channel. Write your name in the sky. Yeah. Have a hot dog. Call it a day. Have a hot dog over the campfire, a s'more and dog combo. Oh God, you cannot beat it, man. You cannot beat it. Oh man, well, but I'm excited. Tom, a lot of work to be done for sure, but it is good. Change of scenery for the weekend, and had to take the pod on the road. Can never skip a pod for you guys. My parents are like, just don't do the pod, blah blah blah. I'm like, you guys don't get it, man. How do you think we got this far? You don't get it. The grind don't stop. It doesn't. So what's the plan for tomorrow? You guys got some water sports or something? Well, Jack, like I said, I'm juggling a lot here. I have no business taking a vacation right now, in air quotes, because there's too much to do. And we have an all-star game a week from now, and the guy who usually does our shirts texted Kyle on like Tuesday and was like, I can't do the shirts this year. My apologies. So then Kyle's like, figure this out. And I was like, okay. So my cousin happens to do screen printing too. And I was like, I hate to ask this because you're pregnant. It's 4th of July, but I was like, I need some help. And can we do this up north and get these shirts done? So we're going to screen print tomorrow morning before my friends get here, make 18 All-Star jerseys. And then I got to edit this podcast sometime before Tuesday. I got to do probably 2 short-form clips, all while trying to have fun and fish and do some water sports and enjoy time with family, which I don't do enough of in the summer. So I might get less sleep than I should on this vacation, again in air quotes, but the plan is just to soak it in, Jack. Just enjoy the craziness of life, I guess. Try to enjoy it. Well, I commend your hustle. I commend your hustle, Tom, and I hope that you do get a little bit of an opportunity to fish and you catch a big one out there. Catch a big one. They're lurking. They're lurking. I know. The shirts, I already had too much work to do on this trip, and now the shirts are throwing me for a loop, but
you got to do what you got to do. Like I said, this MLW train's got a long way to go still before I can kick back and enjoy the view. So, yeah, we're just going. I'm all in, guys. This is gonna work.
Oh,
it
man.
has to work.
Well, I think this is probably a good wrap then, so you can get some sleep tonight, Tom.
Yeah, it is 11:30 at night
now.
That should tell you exactly what we're doing right now. Podcast at 10:30 p.m. on a Friday night on a holiday weekend. That's how. But Jack, I gotta commend you too. You've been a trooper at doing this with me at this time. So.
Hey man, whatever we got to do to make it work. We promised them pod delivery on Tuesday mornings. You guys will get a podcast on Tuesday morning. That's just how an agreement works.
You guys will get a podcast at 4 p.m. on 4th of July. If it kills me, I will get it out.
We make a virtual handshake every week with all you listeners.
We do.
Make a virtual handshake, and if you don't have your word, what do you have, Tom? You have absolutely nothing if you don't have your word.
You don't. And I mean, these big YouTubers that are rich, yeah, they take a week off because they're burnt out. Well, you got millions of dollars in the bank. It's not that big of a deal to you. But when I do that, I feel guilty. It's like, what am I doing? I haven't even made it yet, you know?
You haven't even begun. I haven't even really begun.
So, yeah, the train, onward we move, guys. Subscribe, tell your friends. I want to say, Jack, subscribe. Before we do wrap, I want to say thank you to everyone that came out. Like the fact that we did sell that out and the turnout was great and the fans were enthusiastic and all that stuff was pretty cool. And just seeing the feedback from the kids and everything was pretty special. So I know I'm sitting here like, oh, we haven't made it and I got so much work to do. But I do realize, like when I'm standing out there in the outfield and hearing people chant and people saying my name while I'm hitting, and I realize it's pretty awesome. And, you know, there's a reason that we've gotten there and there's still a long way to go. And one day we're going to sell out an even bigger venue, 10 times the size. So
can't wait, man. Absolutely. This has been a fun podcast, Tom. Appreciate you coming on. Happy birthday, America. Shout out to all the Phillies fans, or all the fans that came out to Philly. Alec Warda used to be a fireworks salesman, and we'll see you guys next week.
Pop it up, 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 pop it up.